Welcome, sports fans. BnK Sportstalk coming at you right now. I'm Craig Koger.
I'm Nick Bodkins.
We're going to get it started with the NFC West Championship game last night. The Seahawks win it. They're in the playoffs at 7-9. How do you feel about this?
You know what? I'm going to accept this, and this is the reason why. You know, we've seen the BCS, the UConn game, they got in, barely 500. We've seen teams in, college basketball get in barely 500 and make the tournament. We've seen teams in the NBA barely 500 or even just 500 make it to the playoffs. And they won their division, and they're going to be able to host a game. Unfortunately, we're seeing two 10-6 teams, the Giants and the Bucks, not get in. But you know what? You didn't win your division, and somebody had to win this division. And somehow the 7-9 Seahawks, they play a good game last night. They get in a game a lot of people didn't expect them to win. I don't expect them to do much in the playoffs. I feel like that was their lone playoff win. They won the West. That nobody seemed to want to take over, and they finally get it. Going forward, it'll be interesting. The Seahawks in the playoffs, but I'll buy them in, and I'll see them out next weekend as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the way sports works. It happens in baseball. Not necessarily all the teams with the highest records get in. You got to win your division. That's what it comes down to. Whenever week one. You got to go out, you got to win the West. That's all their goals. Nobody's thinking about playoffs. Nobody's thinking about this great record. You got to win your division. That's what it comes down to. And if you can win your division at 7-9, then you win your division at 7-9 and you get in the playoffs. And like you said, I don't see Seattle being a threat in the playoffs. I don't see them going very deep, but tip your hat to them. I had the Rams last night. I've been picking the Rams all season, and Seattle showed up. A game that they had to win, and they did what they needed to do, and they're in the playoffs.
I think you got to tip your hat to Pete Carroll. They had so much player change in there. It seemed like everybody that was on that team last year is off the team this year, maybe besides Matt Hasselbeck, and who knows what's going to go on with him going forward. Charlie Whitehurst didn't play great last night, but he played good enough to win that game. Moving forward, it's Black Monday in the NFL. Quite a few coaches already fired. Coaches like Eric Mangini, Tom Cable, Marvin Lewis, all out. What's your thoughts going forward with other coaches like Jeff Fisher and Tony Soprano on the hot seat as well?
I think next year when the season starts, there's going to be a lot of new faces at a lot of new clubs. I think Sparano is out in Miami. I think Jeff Fisher is out in Tennessee. Jason Garrett and Leslie Frazier are staying put, but other than that, there's a lot of shuffling going on. Tom Cable, the Oakland Raiders, they didn't make the playoffs, but they were an improved team. I like what he did there. They were undefeated in their division. Unfortunately for Oakland, they had a very difficult out-of-conference or out-of-division schedule, and a couple of games came down to a field goal, and Sebastian Janikowski missed one against Arizona that could have changed the look of things for the Oakland Raiders. Unfortunately, they didn't get in. But I agree with Mangini being out. But Tom Cable, I like what he did. I think he gets another shot somewhere. But next year when we start back with the NFL, there's going to be a lot of new faces out there.
You're right. There's going to be new faces. I think Soprano and Fisher probably stay. I think Soprano, he won. Remember, when he first got there, he changed that team around from a one-win team to what they are now. Yeah, they struggled this year, but sometimes the expectations can be a little too high. And they're probably one of the tougher divisions in the football in the NFC East there. I think he'll turn that team around. And you got to ask yourself, are they a better team than what they were? And that's the same case with Tom Cable. Tom Cable's made that a better team than what they were when he got them. And you're right, they almost made the playoffs, and they made a nice run. The only problem he had was he couldn't decide who he wanted as quarterback, whether he wanted Gronkowski or Jason Campbell. And I think the flip-flop kind of made there. And the only problem also he made was that Al Davis is his owner. And Al Davis, he tries to, he thought this was going to be the best team he put together. Well, it wasn't quite the best team, but you go undefeated in your division, you're a pretty darn good football team. Marvin Lewis, are they better than when he got? They are right now, but he's been there for a while. They did win the division last year. I think a lot of injuries took place. Another team with lofty expectations didn't meet him with the signing of T.O. and Chad Ochocinco. I don't think that really worked out. It'll be interesting what they do with their new coach and Carson Palmer and that group of guys, because they got some talent there. There's another team just in a tough division with the Steelers and the Ravens. Eric Mangini, I totally agree with the firing of him. You only win 10 games in your first two seasons. It looks like maybe Mike Holmgren might be stepping down, and he might be going into coaching, taking control of that team and coaching that team next season. And that's definitely an improvement because he's a Super Bowl winning coach. Jeff Fisher, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him, just to the fact that, is Tennessee going to keep him, or are they going to keep Vince Young? And Jeff Fisher, if he does get fired, you will see. I think you'll see many coaches, him going to another team easily. He's probably one of the better coaches out there. What are your takes about Jason Garrett and Leslie Frazier staying? Should they stay or should they
You know what? I think these are good moves. Jason Garrett has come in and turned the Dallas Cowboys season around. It was the first 8 weeks they were the biggest disappointment in the NFL. The last 8 weeks they went 5-3. They had a winning record. He's came in. He's disciplined the team. Everybody kind of knew that he was going to be the next guy in line, and he stepped up and he did what he needed to do. I think he's a good fit in Dallas, and I think Leslie Frazier's. I think he's the man in Minnesota. I think that that's the right move for them. There is a lot of coaches on the market. Some teams, have a lot of options right now, but both these clubs are going with the guys that they gave the intern tag to, and I think both of them good move.
Yeah, I definitely think so. You talk about Jason Garrett, definitely turned that team around, and they did it without Tony Romo, their starting quarterback. He did it with John Kitna. They won yesterday. They finished out the season nice. They almost beat the Saints there on Thanksgiving Day. A couple mistakes, and they only lost about 2 games while he was their head coach. And he was the guy that their owner Jerry Jones wanted to begin with, and now he's be the head coach. As far as Leslie Frazier, I think you got to tip your hat to him as well and give him the head coaching job. He did a lot in December, with the games being canceled due to the dome, game being canceled in Philadelphia, the whole Brett Favre situation. I think he handled that all very well. The players seem to like him, unlike they liked Brad Childress. And, 2 guys now getting their chance, and moving forward, we'll see what happens there in the next few years. But they did well enough to earn their job this season.
And moving on, we're going to go to the NBA. The Lakers lost to the Grizzlies last night. Lakers are struggling right now. Are they still the favorite in the NBA?
I don't. Not right now. I still think you have to say, like I said, the Spurs a couple weeks ago. I still like them. The Mavericks are playing still well even without Dirk Nowitzki. The Heat, seem to be turning it on. Those 3 are getting it going, and now they seem with Mike Miller back that their bench is getting a little spark as well. The Lakers are struggling. I think Paul Gasol he just seems like he's worn down without Andrew Bynum. Needs to get back to full strength. Kobe Bryant, Phil Jackson's calling them out, saying that they don't need to be running isolation plays for Kobe. I think, but this team will get it right when it's it's still early. It's January. They'll get it right when it's April and May, or when they need to.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Lakers right now, you can't say they're the favorite in the NBA. The favorite team right now to me is the Boston Celtics. In the West, you got to look at the Spurs and the Mavericks as being better teams than the LA Lakers right now. But like you said, we know the Lakers, we know Kobe Bryant, we know Phil Jackson. These guys are winners. When the playoffs come around, they turn it up, they turn it on, and they know what they need to do. They know it's a long season, and you can never count the Lakers out.
Green Bay gets in yesterday. They beat the Bears. Are they the hottest team going in right now? They've won the last 2 games to win to get in.
You know what? Right now they are the hottest team in the NFC. I'm going to say the hottest team going in right now has got to be the New England Patriots. But when you look at the NFC, Atlanta just lost 2 weeks ago. Chicago just lost this game to Green Bay, which they played their starters the whole game. So there's no excuses on that. Green Bay's looking hot right now. Philadelphia kind of has struggled a little bit going in. Seattle, to me, is not a big threat. So Green Bay, they are probably the sleeper team in all of the playoffs, and they are one of the most dangerous teams out there. They got offense and defense, and anybody that they play, they can match up against.
Yeah, they play well. Aaron Rodgers, to me, I think Green Bay got it right when they chose him over Brett Favre. The 49ers got to be thinking, man, we could have had this guy instead of Alex Smith, and maybe our franchise is a little bit different. Aaron Rodgers is playing really well. I mean, he even without the loss of a running game, he seems to even be able to run the ball well. I think the only thing that's going forward that scares you is the concussions. If this guy gets hit, against Sunday's game and he's out, then this team's going to be struggling. We saw what Matt Flynn could do against the Patriots, but they struggled at the end of that game. Green Bay is going to be a very good team. Their defense plays well. As long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, this team can make it far into the playoffs, make a nice playoff run, even though they have to play on the road.
All right, and moving on, TCU won their bowl game. They go undefeated. Just another reason to hate the BCS.
Yeah, they played well against Wisconsin. They proved that they could play with the big dogs. Their defense shut Wisconsin down, who had been an offensive powerhouse this season. And they played well. They made enough stops to win that game. That big 2-point conversion stop to win the game. They got the ball back on the onside kick, and were able to run the clock out. TCU played well, and should they? I think they should maybe have a chance to play for the national title, or maybe a play-in game after the national. We call it the national title game And unfortunately, we're gonna have 2 undefeateds again. This is exactly why I hate the BCS.
All right, and before we go, big bowl game tonight, Virginia Tech and Stanford. Who you got?
I like Stanford to win. I think Andrew Luck, it'll be interesting see what happens with him and Harbaugh. They both could be leaving that school at the same time. Maybe Harbaugh takes Carolina and he drafts Andrew Luck as his #1 overall pick, or something like that happens. Stanford, this is their team. I do like Virginia Tech. They've won quite a few games in a row. Tyrod Taylor's playing well, but I'm going to take Stanford to win this game about 13 or so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Stanford's going to win this game. I've been saying it for a while. I think Stanford is one of the best teams in the country, and they are one half of football away from playing for a national title. They've played great football all year. When they played Oregon, they were up at the half, and that second half, Oregon came out and put it on them. That half of football right there is the difference between Oregon and Stanford playing for the national title. But Stanford, they've got a lot of weapons. Andrew Luck, probably the best quarterback athlete, and going to go higher than any other quarterback in the draft, and I can't go against Stanford.
All right, thanks for tuning in, sports fans, to the BnK Sports Talk Show. I'm Nick Bodkins.
I'm Craig Coger. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, check us out on Facebook, BnK Sports Talk.